Hello. Welcome to the Antiquities Dream Store, where we have wonderful antique and vintage goodies. How can I help you? And do you have a certain age in mind that the item must be? Like, how old do you want it to be? Do you want it to be antique, at least 100 years old, or older, or maybe even newer? Just vintage. You have anything in mind? So, if I understand correctly, you are looking for something that doesn't really matter what, but something nice to put on display. But the age doesn't matter as long as it's got a nice story to it. Well, you have come to the right place. I've got just things for you. Let me get some things for you from the back. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. So, the first item I want to show you is this ring. It is a silver ring, and it contains a carnelian stone. Its origin can be traced back to the late 19th century. It's beautiful, don't you think? Silver with the carnelian stone. It's not too extravagant, but it's nice to wear, to actually wear if you'd want. Of course, you can just as easily put it on display. It's very nice for that too. But of course, the silver, the carnelian stone, the late 19th century, that's nice to know, but it's not the most interesting about this ring, to be honest. Because this ring was given to me by an old friend, and she in turn had been given this ring by her great aunt. And when her great aunt gave her this, she told her to take really good care of it. My friend was about 8 at the time, and she understood the message, take good care of it. So she did. She took good care of it. She didn't want to lose it. She didn't want to damage it. So she took good care of it. But she never wondered about the why or the what. And it was only at a later age that she began to wonder, and she wanted to ask her great aunt, but shortly after her great aunt had given her this ring, she passed away suddenly. It's still unclear how exactly she died. So that's a bit of a mystery. And the mystery continues, because the older my friend grew, the more interested she became about this ring. She wanted to know what was the story behind it. Why had her aunt given it to her, why wasn't it so important? She felt like it was important because her aunt had said to her to take great care of it, so it must be important. So she went to search for answers, but every time she found something, there were gaps. There were gaps in the information about this ring. So that was really weird because it almost looked like the gaps were left there intentionally, like someone tried to hide the existence of this ring and its history. I know, weird, right? Why would someone do that? I guess we will never know. But eventually my friend gave it to me because she couldn't handle the pressure anymore of, she had a feeling someone might come for her one day. Of course, that's ridiculous, right? I've never seen any shady figure asking for a ring here, at least. So, yeah. If you get this ring, there might be a little risk. But at the same time, it's kind of thrilling, don't you think? To have an item like that in your home. Look at it. Just think about it. If there's anything you want to know about this ring, just let me know. And if you were to purchase this ring, don't worry. I will not tell a soul. No one will have to know you've got this ring in your possession. Yeah, I know it's a little bit risky, but I don't think anyone is actually coming for it. But you never know. It has a tiny bit of a closing problem. But it will still close eventually. Anyway, take your time to think about this. I've got some more items to show you. So the next item I have is something completely different. This is an item from the 50s of the 20th century. It is not at all mysterious like the ring I just showed you. It's a much more comfortable item to have in your home if you were worried about anyone trying to find you. No one will come to your house and try and take this from you, unless maybe they are a collector, because this is definitely a collector's item. And not only a collector's item, but a collector's item in very good state. You might see a container like this at auctions sometimes, but almost always they have been used, so you can see traces of usage, which means it's pretty damaged, and that just isn't the case with this one. This one is in very good condition. Sure, there are a little bit, few traces of damage, but they're not much. Well, this one is certainly been used. And this is a collector's item because these containers were not for the consumers. They were not made for the consumers. They were not sold in stores or anything. these were meant for drugstores only. Drugstores only. And they were used in the Netherlands only. They were used to keep French licorice in. The woman who brought this to me worked at a drugstore where they had this, and as you can see, it states on the can what kind of licorice it is. Franse drop, which means French licorice. It also says from which pharmacy it comes. It's a pharmacy in Paris called Chabonnel. And it also says it has healing powers. Geneeskrachtig means this licorice has healing powers. And if you weren't sure, at the bottom it says, dit zijn de echte. Dit zijn de echte, which means these are the real ones. The real ones. Because there were always drugstores who sold fake healing licorice, French licorice, but if they were kept in this container, you knew they were the real deal. So, like I said, it came from a pharmacy in Paris, and there was a man, a Mr. E. Wolf, who imported them to the Netherlands. He gave all the drugstores a container like this, and they would keep the licorice in there when he brought it to them. The woman that brought this container to me even met him one day, but by then he was already very old, and not much later he died, and well, his company needed a new owner, so it was bought by a very large licorice company that still exists today. They didn't buy it so they could keep doing the things Mr. Wolf did. They just bought it to shut it down because they didn't want the competition. Yeah, kind of mean, don't you think? But on the other hand, understandable from their point of view. Anyway, it's a really nice container. Oh, yes, you can put it on display and put things inside it. You could even put licorice inside it. It's very much usable, but for the real collector, that's a no-go. The less you use it, the less damage it will get. But, of course, it's totally up to you what you want to do with it. You like it, I can see you like it. But, just wait a minute, I have one more item to show you. Let me get it for you. So, the last item I've got for you are these two they're actually two items, but they belong together. These are wooden tools. Only the tip is made out of lead. The two belong together because, well, they were brought to me last week by an old man who had gotten these from his grandfather, and his grandfather had been given these toys as a young boy. Well, actually, he had been given one of these at first. Just the one. But he had a best friend who had the other one, and they always played together, the two of them. And I should tell you this was at the start of the 20th century. So they are more than 100 years old, more than 110 years old even. So the two boys always played together with these tools. It was their favorite thing to do. But at a certain moment, the friend fell ill. The friend fell ill, and eventually he passed away. Of course, the other boy was terribly sad about this, and he just didn't want to play anymore. He didn't want to laugh anymore for a long time. He was kind of depressed, or at least very sad and very lonely, until the parents of the deceased boy came to him, and they gave him the other tool, the other wooden tool. So he had both wooden tools. At that moment, he smiled, because he could feel the presence of his friend through his tool. He always told his grandson that he took it with him wherever he went for the rest of his childhood, until he grew up and he had his own home, and he could give it a place in his home. But when he got a grandson, he knew he had to give these wooden tools to his grandson. And so he did. When the grandson was 7 or 8 years old, he gave him both these tools. He was allowed to play with them, but only if he was really careful. That's what the man told me. He always treasured these two tools he had gotten from his grandfather, and he would give them to his own children or grandchildren. But unfortunately, fate didn't grant him any children, so he gave them to me, and he asked me to give them a good new home. And I think you might be the one to give them that home. You look like you will take good care of them. Maybe even one day give them to your own grandchildren. At least you look like someone who would treasure them just as much, and that's what I'm looking for. So, what do you think? Are you that person he was looking for? I can see the story moved you. Yes, you will take the tools. Well, that's wonderful. I love that. What? You will also take the Liquorice Container. That's nice. It was an interesting story, wasn't it? It's an excellent choice. Do you have, like, a bag? A big bag? That you can put the container in? Oh, that's great. Let me get it for you. There you go. Put it in your bag. And these two, I'll put them in a little paper bag for you, so they will remain together. It's important that they will stay together. There you go. You can put that in your bag as well. What? Oh, you've forgotten your money? No problem at all. Just let me write down your name. You can pay the next time you come by. What's your name? And I'll need your address, just to be sure. I trust you, no worries. Okay, I will put down what you bought today. So I put down what you bought today and the price. You still owe me. You can pay me next time. Really, no worries. You look like I can trust you, so I trust you. I've got great instincts when it comes to people who I can trust. I have a feeling I will see you again anyway. Right? So, just no hurry. You don't need to come back tomorrow. Just the next time you are looking for something, come find me. And don't forget your wallet. Thanks for your purchase at the Antiquities Dream Store. See you next time. Bye bye.